It's not like I'm very mature yet. Story 44. It may seem a bit silly, but when adults stopped congratulating me for doing something good, it became expected. The expectations only increase with age. Story 45. When I sent off the check for my first mortgage payment on my first house in 2009, I wondered what I had just gotten myself into. I had been renting a room throughout my 20s and felt it was time for me to buy my own house. That first mortgage payment was almost $1,000 more than what I had been paying monthly to rent a room from a friend. Story 46. Making my own doctor's appointments and managing my own insurance. My mom handled all medical matters, and I was just along for the experience. Now I am in control. Story 47. I would say when $100 stopped being a lot of money for me. This indicator may not be as relevant after the rapid rise of inflation over the past few years, but before 2020, it was quite the revelation. Story 48. 12-year-old me, who was 185 centimeters tall at the time, walked in sports gear, a tracksuit, to the bus stop after training. A 3-year-old said something to their mom about me. Story 49. When my mom dropped me off at the Department of Motor Vehicles and left, I thought she would have at least waited with me in the lobby. Story 50. When I realized that I had to feed myself every single day, it was a terrifying realization. I cried in a drive-thru because I was sure I would eventually starve. Story 51. When I realized that my parents were not my legal guardians anymore, I remember my 18th birthday being a little devastating, partly because I received a beautiful cake that tasted terrible, with the cake pop being the best part. Story 52. I never felt like a child, but I remember an era when I was patronized as one. I learned early on that some adults treat children as targets for their abuse and tools at their disposal with little to no regard or respect for their needs. Story 53. Taking responsibility and funding my own life has been a journey. Other than that, I'm still not sure I feel fully grown up at the age of 58. Story 54. When I get physically hurt or sick, I do not heal quickly anymore. I tripped in a hole in a grassy area of a parking lot, and my entire right leg was bruised with deep tissue damage. It took 3 months for the bruising to go away, and I still have occasional problems with my knee. Story 55. It wasn't a moment of sudden realization at the time, but looking back, what stands out is when I moved into residence for school and began to appreciate the freedom of eating whatever I wanted. I also recognized the need to be responsible about what and how much I chose to eat. That's part of growing up. Story 56. Little kids outside the supermarket started calling me, "Sir," and asking if I had any promotional cards to spare that the supermarket hands out. Story 57. When I received my only job offer in another city, nearly 200 miles away from my hometown, I had to search for an apartment on my own. Now, I manage my time and commitments along with my salary, household chores, and bills. The only assistance I receive from my parents is that they bring me my mother's cooking and snacks from my culture, and sometimes groceries. Additionally, my parents discuss adult matters with me. Story 58. I used to work in a daycare. One child attempted to insult me but did not do a good job. The other woman who worked with me told him, "You do not talk to an adult like that." That was when I realized, oh yes, I'm an adult. I believe I was 22. Another moment was when I found myself agreeing with the parents in Disney movies. Story 59. The first songs I remember listening to in the 1990s when they were new started playing on classic rock stations. That was an incredibly bad day. Story 60. I thought I would grow up and buy myself all the toys I wanted when I was little. I've lost interest. I can't seem to enjoy the usual things. Trains, magnetic building blocks, racetracks, marble runs, Legos. I'm only 23. It's too early to lose interest. I'm hoping it's just the depression. Story 61. When I got into my first apartment and everyone had left, I was putting things away. The crushing weight of possibly losing this place, having my utilities turned off, and potentially losing my job made me realize I had to figure out how to live. Story 62. When I first held my newborn child at home after all the family had left, it hit me that night. Story 63. I want to end my 15-year relationship that started when I was 20 because he hasn't grown up. But I have. I can't grow with him, and I want to grow now. It's going to be challenging dating as a 36-year-old single woman who still has childlike qualities and only one toxic relationship in my past. Story 64. I had a baby at 19 years old. My boyfriend and I had a child to raise and had to grow up. He got a full-time job and I took a part-time job while attending college. Our families helped with daycare while we worked and attended classes, and my parents assisted with my college tuition. I was fortunate to complete my bachelor's degree with less than $10,000 in student loans, though it took a little longer than originally intended. We lost many friends because they could not understand that raising our child, becoming a family, and building financial stability were our top priorities. We couldn't just get a sitter every weekend to go out and party. Sitters were an expensive luxury we couldn't afford on our low income early on. Coordinating sitters took time, so we couldn't just spontaneously join in plans like we used to. Invitations like, "We're taking Joe out to the bar for his birthday tonight. You should totally come," became less appealing because we needed more than 1 hour's notice. We went out when we could and enjoyed ourselves. Even then, we could see that our lifestyles were very different. The invitations finally stopped after so many declines. Plus, we genuinely enjoyed being parents. Our household was full of love, and we worked hard on our relationship. We strived to be good partners and parents. When we had free time, we wanted to spend it together as a family. My boyfriend is now my husband of 28 years. I'm happy and proud of the work we did as a couple to get where we are today. Our kids are grown and successfully building their own lives and families. I like to think we gave them a solid and positive example throughout the years. Of course, we struggled at times, but we worked through those struggles together. Story 65. I was 18 in the delayed entry program for the Marines, still in high school, working at the movie theater in the mall like teenager stuff. I got off school, picked up my paycheck, cashed it, ran home to get changed for work, and on my way out, I dropped off the money for my share of the car insurance with my parents.